guys, and welcome to Lee T Talks Time. Okay, so today guys, in the first episode of Lee T Talks Time, we're going to talk about the top 5 watches that are emotionally connected to me. This is top 5 emotion of time. So what we're going to do in today's video is we're going to talk about the emotion of time. You know, we sit there and we talk about customers, about the details of watches, how many joules, how many beats per hour, how many beats per minute, time accuracy, things like that, which are important things in the watch world, in the watch industry when choosing a watch. But sometimes you just got to step back when you're looking at watches and choose which watch you're going to go for, because when two watches are exactly the same, what watch do you go for? Do you go for, an example, Omega Seamaster, blue or black? What do you choose? So we're at number 5 on the list is the watch that started me in the watch industry, the one that really gained my interest and made me want to pursue learning more about watches. I started in the industry about 8 years ago, and at first I was scared to pick up watches. We had DKNY, D&G, £100, and I was like, what? Why are we selling these watches? You know, why are these watches worth £100? Then I came across this watch, and it is the Tissot T-Touch, the original one. So this combined watches and technology, and suddenly there was two things I was really interested in combined, and suddenly I was able to play with the watch. I was touching the screen, I was really getting to use the watch more on the technical side, which really gained my interest and made me learn more about what watches were about. So as I said, it's the original T-Touch, so would I get that one now? Probably not, because as far as I'm aware, when one of those come in for repair, we send it back to Tissot and they will exchange it for a newer version. They don't repair the original T-Touch anymore. Maybe a bit more collectible to get, but once it breaks, then that's it really. It's just a watch that sits there doing nothing. So I'll probably get more an updated version, but that is number 5 on this list that starts to count down, the original Tissot T-Touch. Number 4 on the list, so what we're going to go over here is a watch that when I started getting involved after the T-Touch and started really getting interested in the watch brands, this was the first watch that I really liked. 7 years ago it cost £1,595. I should have bought it then, because of today's price is £3,200, and it's the Tag Heuer Carrera chronograph, the CV2010 model. There's various versions of this model. Obviously the Carrera started back in 1963 when Jack Heuer was amazed by the Pan America race. He decided to create a watch for that, and it was the Carrera. And then Carrera launched the CV 2010 chronograph, and it has to be with a glass back so they can showcase the movement with the caliber 16 movement in it. And this is because when they launched the Carrera 1887 a few years ago, they put a Fangio back on the back of this Carrera. I have no connection with Fangio. I'm not really a big Formula 1 or race driver fanatic, so for me, if I got this Carrera, it'd have to be the CV201 with a sapphire glass back. I just love how it looks. It looks stunning, it always looks smart, and it has to be the one with the white second hand and subdials, not the red one, because that's the one that I just love the look of, and I love the sort of history behind the Carrera. And Tag Heuer is one of my favourite brands as well, as I'm rocking the Formula 1 Calibre S today as well. Number 3 on the countdown, so we're rolling back the years now in terms of why this watch produced, but it was actually launched at the end of 2015, and it's the Breitling Transocean Limited Edition 1915. So 1915 was a significant year for the watch industry as a whole, and for Breitling in particular, when they launched the first independent push piece to be able to split time recording. So in other words, they were able to start, stop and reset a chronograph function, being able to record times. So 2015, and 2015 they launched the 100-year anniversary of this watch. It's a very neat watch, as you can tell. It's got the one mono pusher which starts, stops and resets the chronograph. Very retro looking numbers. I'm a big history person. I love history and stories behind watches, so when they launched this watch, I just couldn't help but love it. You know, it's got in-house movement to it. It looks great. It's very retro looking. It pays homage to obviously a very significant piece in watch history of 1915 when Breitling launched this watch originally with the mono pusher. But obviously, come back to me in probably 18 years' time, in 2034, when there'll probably be a 100-year anniversary edition of when they launched the second push piece as well, which should look something like this. So on to number 2. This watch, when it first came out, I just fell in love with straight away. As soon as it launched, I was straight into the history, looking at the gentleman who invented the original, and just really fell in love with it. I always show customers when they come into the shop this watch, told them about it, and just if they love watches, I told them about the story even if they weren't looking at this watch, because they really needed to know about it. And this is the Mont Blanc Nicolas Rieussec chronograph. So if you don't know who Nicolas Rieussec is, he invented the very first chronograph back in, I think it was the 19th century, which is this here. It's a nice little box, as you can tell, with 2 discs and a little needle. What we do is you put a bit of ink on this needle, press the button, and the discs will start rotating, the needle will go down and it will draw a line on the discs. You press the button, stop it, and that's how they tell the time. So Mont Blanc, when they started getting into the watch industry, decided that they was going to pay tribute to this, and they launched the Mont Blanc Nicolas Rieussec chronograph. And as you can tell, the design is very similar to the box. You've got the 2 discs with the little dial in the middle to tell the time, and you would press the single monopusher button down here, and that would start the discs rotating, and then you would stop it and you would reset it. So it's just the discs that actually spin and not the hands itself. So a big piece of history being represented in this watch. Since the launch, they have launched various versions of the Mont Blanc Nicolas Rieussec, but for me it would have to be the stainless steel version that they launched first, to commemorate Nicolas Rieussec and what he did for the watch industry, because without Nicolas Rieussec's invention, would we have ever seen the chronograph? Probably, but probably not for a very long time after Rieussec had actually originally invented it. So number 1 on the list, numero uno. This is actually a very new watch, but is a very important watch in terms of what it represents and who it represents, and it is the Oris limited edition Carl Brashear watch. So if you haven't seen the film Men of Honor, I encourage you to go watch it now, because it is a great film. It stars Cuba Gooding Jr. as Carl Brashear and Robert De Niro as the master diver teaching him. So Carl Brashear was a gentleman who in the 1950s wanted to become a Navy diver. He was African American, and there was a lot of racist times back then, but he didn't give up. He kept applying. Eventually he got into the Navy school, and he just went for it. You know, he just never gave up. And his saying, which is on the back of the case, which you can see here, is it's not a sin to get knocked down, it's a sin to stay down. And he certainly lived by that motto. It's an incredible film. I don't want to spoil the film, but basically he worked his way up the ranks despite everything that was against him, and eventually he became master diver. But before that he lost his leg in an accident as well, so once again he had to prove that he was able to do it with one leg. So he continued training with a prosthetic leg, and in the end reached the Master Chief Diver Carl Brashear status, and it is legendary. So Oris have launched this watch. It's a faux bronze case, like the 1950s divers helmets, which Carl Brashear would have wore at the time. So obviously as you wear it due to the air and any water that touches it, it will get nice patina, which means it will grow with age and it will look really nice and vintage as well. But that concludes, come back to me to the channel in a few months time, because I will have an unboxing of this watch. I have it on order, so once I get my hands on it there will be an unboxing video, because I just love this watch. That was my top 5 emotion of time watches I am emotionally connected to. Please feel free, comment, let me know what you think, what your top 5 watches are, or just one of your watches that you're just emotionally connected to, that you just can't get out of your head, whether you own it already or whether you're going to own it one day. Comment below, subscribe, and this is episode number 1 of Lee T Talks Time. Feel free to ask any questions, and I will see you again. Cheers, bye.